Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Doc Talk. This is episode 95B.
I'm Cam and this is Julie.
Yes, this is the Haftarah discussion of this week's Torah portion, and it is a double.
Okay.
And I am going to...
Double doozy.
Yes, I'm going to touch on both.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll separate them into two, or if we'll just have one kind of longer one. We'll see how long it goes.
It won't be a surprise for you. It'll be a surprise for us.
Yes, it'll be a surprise for me.
You'll
already know by the time this comes out. Yes. This Torah portion is Behar, and it's Jeremiah 32, 6 through 27, and it takes place around 588 or 587 BCE.
Okay.
It's between the 9th and the 10th year of King Zedekiah, and remember, King Zedekiah was the last king before they were taken captive into Babylon, the southern kingdom, okay? So that's where we're at.
Okay.
In between, this is right before they get captured.
Okay.
All right. In the 9th year of King Zedekiah, what you have is Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian army are starting to come through the southern kingdom. They're not to Jerusalem yet, but all the cities are bowing to this war machine that's sweeping through the Middle East. As they're coming through and getting close to Jerusalem, the king of Egypt sends his army. Remember, he's going to send them to help.
Right.
So, as they're laying siege on Jerusalem, starting the siege ramps, starting to surround the city, they see this Egyptian army coming. They get word that they're coming. So they retreat. They go take care of this army, which doesn't take long.
Right.
But in that time, Jeremiah says, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to my hometown, which was north. I can't remember the name of it, and I don't think I wrote it down. I'll put it right here. Okay. But it was just north of the city, only about 3 miles. It wasn't far. Yeah, he didn't make it there. So what happened was the captain of the guard thinks that he's defecting to the Babylonian army. So he throws him in jail.
Especially because he's saying things like, just let him come.
Well, yes. And now they're retreating, so they're like,
yeah.
See, now he didn't want to show his face here. Now he's defecting to the other side because it didn't happen. Yeah. God's on our side. So he was thrown in jail, but it didn't take long for the Babylonian army to put down the Egyptians. And then they turned right back around and surrounded the city of Jerusalem. And King Zedekiah freaked out, and he grabbed Jeremiah out of prison to see if there was a word from the Lord.
Yeah.
So he said, is there a word from the Lord? And you know what Jeremiah said? He said, why, yes, there is. They're going to overtake you.
Yeah. You lose.
So Jeremiah gives him this word. The king doesn't like it, throws him back in prison, to which Jeremiah says, please, will you just please release me? And he says, no, I'm not going to, because I don't like what you have to say.
Right.
You keep saying that Babylon's going to overtake us, and it's our fault, and I don't like that. So he throws him back in jail.
Isn't that funny? They only want news that they like. They don't want truth.
Right.
He didn't want truth. He only wanted what he liked.
News. Yes, he wanted him to tickle his ears and tell him that everything was going to be okay, and that God was fighting for him, and God was on his side, and that everything Jeremiah had prophesied was wrong. That's what he wanted.
And he had plenty of false prophets on his side to say, yeah, he's wrong, because listen to all of us.
Right.
And they are like we're hearing from God, but they just didn't test the spirits.
That's right. All right, so now you have a little bit of history. Now we can go into that particular Torah portion. And it starts off in 6, and it says, and Jeremiah said, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, see, Hanamiel, son of Shallum, your uncle, is coming to you, saying, by my field, which is in Anathoth. Okay, so that's where Jeremiah is from.
No wonder you couldn't remember that.
Yeah. Anathoth, for the right of redemption is yours to buy. So this is what this entire Torah portion is for. So from 6 to 16, you just have what happened. Okay. So basically, the Lord says this is what's going to happen, and that's exactly what happens. He gives him the money for the field. He does purchase it. He holds like a little, I don't know, I guess ceremony would be okay. Transaction to do this deed. Anyway, he needs witnesses to make it official.
Right. And
usually you have one person get a document, you get a document, but he had both documents sealed. All right, because they're about to go under siege. Right. So, and the Lord said, look, this is going to be because they're going to come back eventually from Babylon and buy up fields. This entire event happened for a physical foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the future. Because as far as, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know if anyone came back and claimed that field, because Jeremiah is single, he has no kids, no family, and he ends up, maybe when he comes back from Egypt, he goes there. I don't know.
And if my memory serves me correct, isn't the sealed deed, doesn't it discuss that there's writing on both sides? Do you remember that, if it's in there?
I didn't see that.
Because for some reason, and I didn't read it recently, so I'm not sure, but for some reason I'm thinking, or maybe it's just the sealed part, having to do with the same, like Messiah holds the seal, the sealed deed. He does, so anyway.
Well, and yes, and I do know that the deed was stamped with Jeremiah's particular seal, whatever that was. It doesn't say what it was, but it was his particular seal that he stamps it with. Now we see in 16 that after he gives the deed to Baruch, which was his servant, that he prays to Yahweh, and he opens up like this: "O Master Yahweh, see, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. There is no matter too hard for you." Now, I find this very funny because he goes on to say, so why did you have me do this? If Babylon is about to besiege us and you've already told me they're going over, I don't understand why you had me do this.
Right.
And the very end of this Torah portion, the Lord says, "See, I am Yahweh, the Elohim of all flesh, and is there any matter too hard for me?"
So they both agree.
Yes. So he opens up proclaiming, there's no matter too hard for you. And then the Lord opens up his answer proclaiming, you're right, there's no matter too hard for me.
Right. I love it.
But this prayer, just real fast, he goes through and, like I said, he entreats the Lord. He's proclaiming who he is, who the Lord is, saying that there's nothing too hard for him, that he's a just God, right? Yeah. You know, that everything he's doing, he understands. Then he goes through 20 through 23 is the entire remembrance of coming out of Egypt. So, I remember you brought us out, and you told them that this was going to happen. You said that if they didn't do what they were supposed to do, that the land would vomit them out and they would go into captivity. Now I see this is happening. And then he says in 25, "Yet you, O Master Yahweh, have said to me, buy the field for silver and take witnesses, although the city has been given into the hand of the Kasdim." And I would propose this. This is Julie's take on why this whole thing happened. Because this is a foreshadow of Messiah. When Messiah was here on earth, the Lord, he didn't marry, just like Jeremiah. He didn't have children to inherit the land, just like Jeremiah. He foresaw what was coming against Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. We have him saying that, "Oh, Jerusalem, you have no idea what's about to happen to you."
Wings,
right. I wish that, I could have taken you in, but you wouldn't have it because they were forsaking his word. They were not repenting. Same exact thing with Jeremiah. And then here we see he has Jeremiah purchase a field for the understanding that in the future they will come back and inhabit the land again.
And that's the northern kingdom area that he bought the land, correct?
No, it's in Benjamin.
It's in Benjamin. Okay.
Yeah, it's only 3 miles outside of the city.
Okay, you did say that.
Yes, and it's to show that the southern kingdom will be coming back. And 70 years later, they did.
They do, right.
And they purchase land, do the transaction. They do what they're supposed to do. What I love is we also see Messiah. He came, just like the thing with Jeremiah.
Right.
And his death, burial, and resurrection purchased something that we're going to experience later.
Right. And he got the deed.
Yes, and we'll see in Revelation, that he gets
5.
the deed. Right. So I just saw that really cool parallel between Jeremiah and Yeshua here.
And really, here's the way I see it. It does link with the Torah portion because we already have where if you do these things, you're going to be thrown out of the land, but when you repent, I bring you back in.
Right.
And the whole idea of you got to accept the punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that here, and if you understand that the Tanakh, the whole Old Testament, you take Torah, and the whole rest of the Tanakh, the rest of the Old Testament after Torah, is showing that in action.
Yes,
it's
playing
showing
it out.
If
it's
they
the
live
movie.
properly, right? If they live Yeshua is the movie, as we say, but
right.
it's the prequel.
Well, it's a movie too.
Yeah, it is. So it shows how okay, you lived right. Look what happened. Oh, you didn't do so well. Look what happened. And it shows all the sides. I think of Joshua, David, and Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
They all went into the land, helped conquer the land, and then the people had to decide. Same thing with David. People had to decide. And Yeshua, he did his. People have to decide.
Right.
It's just a replay, but it's the same book of rules, the same game rules.
Right.
And we seem to have lost that, but now we finally found the rule book, and we're like, oh, this is what it looks like, and we have all these examples. Hello.
Yes.
To see how it looks.
And it's funny because we're going to talk about in the next part of the Torah portion was they did have the rules now because Josiah had discovered the Torah. This is in Jeremiah's time. King Josiah discovered the Torah, tore down the high places, and reinstated as much as he had the knowledge to reinstate of the Torah. Okay, well, that's what's happening now. We're discovering the Torah, and we're starting to reinstate what we can of the knowledge that we have of the Torah. And we are also going to see in the next portion that this is why this particular thing came down on this generation was because Josiah discovered the Torah, and now they're without excuse.
Well, why don't we just hop on over to that?
Let's do that. Let's hop on over
really
to
look
the
at
next Torah portion and keep on going.
Yeah.